This is one of the classic types of suits. Hello, this is BJ from Hearns Hobbies and welcome to another unboxing. I have something dear to my heart. It's Maschinen Krieger. So I've shown Maschinen Krieger quite a bit, but this is one of the classic types of suits, like a S.A.F.S or S.A.F.S suit, and this is one of the newer releases. So let's have a closer look. Now, let's get on to the overhead. Okay, so this particular one is the Raccoon. So Raccoon is I guess is an advanced, what's the word I'm looking for? Reconnaissance type. So it's got the extra center on the front, and it's got a extended or heavier duty sensor here. And then instead of the weaponry arm, it has an extra hand. Okay, let's have a closer look inside and see what it's all about. Now, if you're not sure about Maschinen Krieger, it's a genre that was developed by Kow Yokoyama with a number of other people for Hobby Japan magazine in the 1980s, and it's actually celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. So let's have a closer look at some of these parts. So this particular kit includes a couple of different heads, and also includes some of the sort of common parts from the S.A.F.S as well. The S.A.F.S has got that egg sort of shaped body, and it's the basis of quite a lot of the different suits. Now here we've got the 3 sprue, and it's got the 2 different heads included here. So we've got a female head, and then we have the male head as well, and there's a couple of the joints as well. Okay, and these joints are on a more flexible type plastic. Quite often the very hardcore builders would actually fix the pose, and then they'll glue these in place, and then they'll fill it all up with some putty. But as they're designed, they don't really need any glue. I do recommend glue though, because even when you press them together, when you repose them, they do eventually fall apart. So gluing the parts that are meant to be glued and leaving all the parts that are hinged to work is a great way of doing it. So parts like these have got little hinges on them, and then you've got the kneecap armor. They can be glued on, just to make sure they don't fall off. Okay, let's have a closer look at these. I'll zoom in and we'll have a closer look at the detail. This is the female head. Let me just get that focused. Okay, so you can see there, we've got 2 parts to the head. Okay, so you've got the face and the bulk of the head in one piece, which is nice because it means there's very little cleaning up to do. And then you've got the goggles, which are actually mounted on the head. It's the top part. And then this part here is probably the, looks like the collar. You can just see the collar coming up through there. Okay, so you got 3 pieces for the female. This is the one that's depicted on the box art. So Kow Yokoyama always produces new box arts for each variation of his kits. And so he's got the female pilot on this box art. So you'd be using this one if you want to do box art construction. But if not, we've still got the classic male head in here. There he is there. Let's go smiley face. That's all molded in one piece. And then again, you've got the other part here for the collar. That just slides over this neck part there. Okay, also on here, you'll notice that the sprue does say for S.A.F.S. So this is the components for the basic S.A.F.S. You've got some of the finer detail there too. So this is the original sensor, and you won't be using this one because the sensor's been upgraded on the Raccoon. And I wonder if it has enough parts to make a regular S.A.F.S, because you may want to do that, because they're not always available, these kits, and rather than buying a limited edition one which tend to go up in value, perhaps you could make a S.A.F.S out of this particular version. So let's pop that aside. Here's the joints. Semi-flexible. They're not super rubbery, which is good, but they've got enough give so that you can get poses happening. Okay, so they're the bits out of the first bag. All right, let's pull the zoom in again. All right, the second bag, we've got some other components. Okay, 3 sprues on this one too. And you'll see that these 2 are actually marked as Raccoon parts. And then you have a part here, which is marked as the Prowler. Okay, so if we zoom in on these, so we have prowler marked there. You've got the arms. Okay, there's the hands for the additional hand on the right hand side. And there's the sensor for the front of the chest, which is the same as the one on the prowler, so hence why there's prowler parts in here. Okay, from here we've got the Raccoon. So this is the actual sensor part, the additional sensor, which is on the shoulder. There's probably some rear propulsion parts there as well, or engine, or what you like to call it. And there, that'll be on the back as well. Okay, so that's a specific Raccoon part. Okay, nicely molded in one piece. Okay, from there we move into some of the bigger sprue. Now these are much more recognizable as S.A.F.S suit parts. Okay, so 3 sprue. We've got main armor parts here. So you've got torso and other parts around there with armor plates. You've got the other hand here. We've got soft parts here for more of the joints. As you can see, that's semi-flexible. And then here we have leg components and joints. Okay, so let's get the zoom in on here. There's all the soft joints. You can see how they've done some of the creases in the fabric. Like so. Got some of these rotating joints. And then you've got some hoses as well. So the hoses have been pre-molded in particular curves, like they're sagged look. You can see how they've got quite a bit of movement in them. So when you do the posing, it will move to a point as well. Okay, here we go, the very recognizable chest component right there. That is absolutely classic. And that's where the basic egg shape comes from. See, there's that little panel there. Nice surface details. Here we have the cockpit area. That's where the head is going to sit, because you have a little cover that pops up over here. So they'll be hinged as well. We have some armor parts here. These are the shoulder components. You got the extra, well, that's the hand there. That's the right hand. Go back to the cockpit, and then we've got some of these internal structure parts, okay, for the framework. And that'll be, I think that's for the front crotch, I guess, or as in cricket, it's the box. And then we come up to this third sheet of sprue. We've got the leg components. Okay, so you've got uppers and lower parts of the leg. You've got the feet. The feet are in halves as well. And then there's a bunch of ball joints. And here we get into some of the finer details. You see the soles of the shoes, got nice detail. And some more, I think they're all leg components. There's going to be a few too many, but we'll check the instructions and we'll see what they're all about. Okay, now from there we only have one more bag left, which is this one. Oh no, there's another bag. And here we've got some fairly recognizable parts too. Okay, so you've got more of the torso. These are the back sections. This is the roof hatch, or the cockpit hatch. And then we have some of the side panels as well. And let's zoom in. A close look. Okay, so you can see these parts will be marked as S.A.F.S, because that's the standard suit shape. See there, these are the side armor parts. These are the parts that fold down to allow access to the suit. Got another pelvic plate there. Some shoulder armor. And then you've got the, these will be plates for the inside of here, for the arms. And there's a sensor. Okay, from there we have the back sections of the torso. This is a point where the sensor, the shoulder sensor, sort of sits. Got the other side, you've got the hatch. You can see there's the inside of the hatch, it's got the details too, because they'll pop it open, and this is where the hinge will sit. There's the weapon arm, which I won't be using for this particular version, but since it's there, I mean, you can always feel free to mix it up as you like. You're gonna have a weaponized Raccoon if you liked. There's the sensor mount. So you will be using this on the Raccoon, except you have the larger sensor mounted on it instead of the small one. A little bit of a hose. And you've got some interior parts for the hatch as well. Actually, where were they? Oh, here, this one. Bit of padding and some controls. Okay, so apart from that, we've got some clear parts. So there's one sheet of clear parts, and these will be for the front sensor. Okay, very clean. Let's get that zoomed in. And you may be able to see that's marked as Prowler. So this is for the front sensor part. Okay. So let's just pop that back in the bag. Now let's have a look at the manual. The manual is going to be... Actually, before we get into that, apart from the manual, you do get one of these cards as well. It's an info card. So these are designed to fit into the A5 type binders. There's a couple of holes punched if you want to put into the binder rings. And then you've got the different types of liveries and units they're all with. So you've got a little bit of history and some background and camouflage choices. Goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different options. And then also the decal instructions are there as well. So it's a nice thick card, definitely for collecting. And then you also get a nice sheet of decals. Okay, so the decals also change with each iteration of the kits. And they're always very interesting. I mean, you've got your standard sort of stencils, which add a lot of detail once they're on the suit. And then you have your divisional markings or nose art per se. Or nicely thinly printed. It's slightly reflective, but I would consider these a semi-gloss rather than a full gloss decal, which is good. Okay, let's have a closer look at the manual. So manual we'll just unfold in nice beige, that's very classical. Okay, so we've got a Raccoon, so you can't mistake that. S.A.F.S Type R. Alright, so what have we got here? Okay, so we get straight into the assembly. Alright, so first step, you're doing the body. This is building up of the side panels where the arms fit. They're the folding areas. You've got ball joints going into place. They'll be getting ready for the arms. This will be the pelvis area. So you can see here how they're pressed in and you've got them hinged at this point. And then you have the back sections going on, joined together. And then you have the front section of the suit. Let's just move this up here. Right over here. Shoulder pads. And then we start getting into the cockpit. You got the head there, that's the female head. This is all sandwiched together. And then you have the hatch assembled with the hinge. Got the rear engine getting put together. There's the actual sensor mount. The sensor itself for the Raccoon is here. There's a long piece here. It looks a lot like a weapon, but it is actually a IR seeker. And then you have the front sensor as well. You just have to make sure you put the holes in the front end to accept the locators on this particular sensor. Building up the legs. So you got both sides. And we flip it over and then we get into the arms. So both arms have hands. And then it's assembling here. This is all your sub-assemblies. You get your torso section. All your legs are going into place with the pelvis. Arms are popping into place. And then dropping the head. And then all the hinges for the open hatch. And that's it. So there you go. So that is my open box review of the new issue of the Raccoon. So Raccoons have been around before, but I think it's been maybe 8 years since the last iteration of it. So if you like the classic shaped suits and you like this particular look, it does look pretty angry, this is a great kit. So if you're new to Maschinen Krieger, then this is probably the penultimate type of suit that everyone recognizes. It's very classical Maschinen Krieger. So there you go. That's the Wave Raccoon in 1/20 scale. Thank you for watching.